first time that I saw Carly was at a YSA conference. It was when Mitt Romney came to speak. It was like a fireside. I was way up in the bleachers, and I didn't actually realize it was Carly, but there was a girl that was playing down there, just playing the piano, and it was really pretty. Later on at the conference, I saw this girl who I thought was the same girl, and I said, "Hey, is that you playing the piano?" "Yeah, it was." "That was really good. Like, that was awesome." She goes, "Oh, thanks," you know, and that was it. And then we just kind of parted ways. I didn't realize that was Carly, and she didn't obviously know me, so.
The first time that I saw Mike was at a pool party, and it was a friend's birthday party, and I went with a friend of mine. Her name's Carly too, actually. And he was in a jacuzzi, and we went and sat in the jacuzzi, and I was like, I think I asked her, "Who's that guy over there?" And she said, "I don't know." And then we never talked. I just saw him sitting there, and I noticed he was really tan.
The first time that we actually met was at a climbing gym. I was a regular there. I'd go climbing almost every Tuesday. And I was belaying somebody. I still remember where I was. I was looking up, feeding out the rope.
I just thought, I think that's the guy that I saw in the jacuzzi, and I was really excited.
And I look over and I see this girl walk in, and I just thought, I don't know that girl, and mentally thought, oh, I'm gonna have to go over and say hi to her.
So I started to walk over to him. Maybe I should have waited for him to walk to me.
And then she came walking over to me, and she said, "I don't think I know you. What's your name?" So we started talking then.
It was awesome. We talked about a lot of things, and he didn't get my number. I was disappointed.
And it was maybe only 5 minutes into talking to her that I thought, I want to ask this girl out. I'd like to go on a date with her.
Our first date, we went to Grimaldi's in Scottsdale.
We're actually sitting out in the courtyard with these pretty lights above, and I just thought we had a really great time. It was so easy to talk to her.
I remember thinking he was very interesting, and we got along really well.
It was kind of twilight time, and there was all these pretty lights above where we were eating, and we had finished eating, but we were just sitting there talking, and I remember thinking that I really wanted to pull out my cell phone and just take a picture of it, because she looked really pretty, and just the whole thing was really nice and like ideal for a date. But I remember thinking as I was driving home, that was really fun. Carly's the type of girl that I could definitely marry. Carly went to Tonga for like 6 weeks, and it didn't end in a really solid place, so it wasn't, I was kind of up in the air. I really actually wasn't sure what was going to happen.
When I returned from Tonga, he had gone over to my house earlier that day and left flowers for me and chips and salsa. He knew that those were my favorite, and thought he was so thoughtful. And she
thought that was thoughtful. And we went out, I think once or twice. And then she told me after that that she didn't think that, she didn't feel like it was going to go anywhere.
But we broke up. That was the first week in August.
So we had been broken up for a couple weeks, and that still wasn't a ton of fun for me, but to kind of help me move on with things, I was planning this California trip with some friends to go climbing.
I heard about a climbing trip with some friends over Labor Day weekend near LA in California. So that night I saw on the invite list that Mike was also on the list, and I just thought, oh, I don't want him to go. But then I realized he probably was one of the organizers because he's so into rock climbing, so I felt kind of bad.
I found out that Carly was planning on going, that she had been invited, and my reaction to that when I first saw that was disappointment. I didn't really want her to go on the trip because I was still trying to get over her. So on the California trip, it was just funny because I would see her and, you know, be reminded of all the awesome things that I really liked about her. And it was kind of painful because I kept thinking, man, I still like her. I don't really like seeing her.
It was so interesting. Being around him was so good for me, and I just found myself really wanting to spend time with Mike. We would go to the beach, or we would be at dinner or at the house where we were staying, and whenever he was having a conversation with someone, I wished I was in that conversation. Yeah, I was trying to figure out what that was. I didn't really understand why I was feeling that way. So I asked if he wanted to go on a walk.
She wanted to see how I was doing, and which was still a little bit confusing to me. And I think at one point I was like, what are you hoping to accomplish by talking right now? Like, what do you want to do?
And I said, I don't know what I want. I just want to talk to you.
That wasn't really resolved, actually, by the time that we finished talking on the beach. We just kind of talked, and it sounded like that she might be a little bit interested again.
I am yours and you are mine. I am ravished by your sight.
Went over to her place, this was after the trip, and just kind of talked to her, told her that I was still interested in her, and if she wanted to date, then that'd be great. If not, then that was okay, but I didn't want to, I just kind of wanted a clean break.
Yes, we got home from California, and the next Thursday we decided to date again. I just thought Mike has every quality that I've ever wanted.
But it was fun before, like before Tonga and before the California trip, it was fun to date, but it wasn't until after we decided to date again that it was tons of fun. We loved spending time together. We would, like every day we were doing something together.
Did I love you, my dear, did I love you, my dear, did I?
We went to Vancouver in October for October break, and it was great. We saw his parents live there, and it was so good for me to see how he interacted with them. And since he's not from Arizona, I hadn't really seen him in his own element.
There was like one other time a week before that I said, I told Carly, I think I'm falling in love with you. And she said, thank you for telling me that. But we were in Vancouver. We were at this place called Granville Island, which is right on the harbor. So you've got the ocean and the city. We're downtown. It's just gorgeous. The sun is setting. We're standing on the dock and we're hugging, and everything about it was just perfect. She looks really pretty and everything, and I kept thinking, man, this is the perfect place to tell her that I love her, but I don't want to ruin the whole situation by saying something dumb like, I love you. Like, I don't want to ruin the mood by saying that. So instead of saying it, I just hugged her again. And then I was like, this is ridiculous. Mike, you just got to say it.
So we were just hugging, and then he just looked at me, and I was looking up at him, and he said, I love you. And I said, I love you too.
0.02 seconds after I said it, she said it back to me, which was awesome.
And it was really sweet. It was the perfect moment.
And then she actually hit me on the chest and said, and I've been feeling that way for a while now, which was really surprising because when I had said, you know, that a week before, she didn't really even say anything back. She didn't really reciprocate it, and so I thought, maybe she wasn't feeling that way.
It was the perfect timing. I felt like I didn't feel like I had to say it or like I was just responding. I felt like we both had been there for a little while, and it was good that we were in Vancouver, and yeah, it was nice.
Once for a change, it'd be nice if this all would work out.
The few weeks leading up to our proposal, we would talk about life, I don't know, like where we wanted to live and career. And in my mind, I'm like, if we're talking about these things, I feel like there's another big thing in the way before we can do any of those things. So I would say like, well, if we're talking about that, maybe we should, you know, make a big decision. Or like, maybe we should talk about when we, you know.
I wanted it to be a surprise. It's always seemed kind of funny to hear that people talk about it and they go ring shopping together. And I think, where's the surprise in that? So I didn't really want to talk about it a whole lot.
We never went ring shopping. We never talked about when. We never talked about where or any detail of the wedding before the proposal.
I wanted it to be a surprise. I talked to my friend, and he had a horse-drawn carriage, and he was having this huge bonfire at his place. Both of our friends would be there, and I thought, okay, that'd be perfect because we'll go to the bonfire. She won't be suspecting anything because yeah, we're just gonna go to this bonfire. That's all it's gonna be.
While we were at the bonfire, Brother Lamoureux came and asked us if we wanted to go for a carriage ride. And I said, sure. I didn't think anything of it, nothing of it at all.
And then we'd go and he'd leave the property, and then we'd go over to this park that was really close to his house.
So we turned down this hill, and we kind of go down a steep hill, and we are going down a sidewalk, and then he goes, I need to give the horse a breather. And so he stops the horse. I still am not thinking anything weird, by the way.
My friends turned on the lights, so the lights all illuminated.
I see a bench. I saw the bench first, and then I saw the roses sitting on the bench, and then I heard the music. And I looked at Mike and I said, you planned this.
It's like it all started to kind of hit her that this was for her and that I had done this. And I thought it would be pretty obvious what was happening, but I guess it wasn't because we never really talked about things.
We sit down and he hands me a mug of hot chocolate that was all ready, and the music is playing, and then I realize, oh, these are our songs that the music's playing. It's not just like something set up for us. Oh my gosh. We sit down and Mike pulls out his tablet and he just starts talking and just starts saying that he wanted to show me how much I meant to him, and he starts going through pictures. I'm still kind of like, I don't know if this is a proposal. I thought, wow, this would be a great opportunity to propose because it's so beautiful, but there's no way he has a ring. And he's not in a hurry anyway. We keep going through the pictures, and then it's just pictures of me at the end of the slideshow. And he starts saying like, I love you because you're this. I love you because you're this. And my heart's just like, oh my gosh.
It was special. It was really nice to sit down and really tell her what I was thinking and how much I loved her and all the things that I loved about her.
The last picture is a picture of the Gilbert Temple. And that's when I was like, oh, okay. And then he puts it down and he asks if I would stand up with him. So we stand up together and he puts his hands on my shoulders.
And I think that's when it started to hit her that this was real.
And he said, Carly, I moved to Arizona a few years ago. I didn't know why. I now know that it was to meet you, to date you, and eventually marry you. And that's when I was like, ah!
And I knelt down on one knee and I pulled the ring out of my pocket. I said, Carly Jo Porter, will you marry me?
He proposed and I said, yes, of course. And it was really sweet. We stood up and we kissed, and I looked at him, and I think the first thing I said was, "How'd you do that?" Because I was so completely surprised. Like, the ultimate surprise I think anyone has ever pulled on anyone. Like, I had no idea it was coming. It was so sweet. It was pretty romantic. I think he deserves a lot of man points.
More than just a partner or a lover. I'm your friend when you love.